The darkness threatened to overcome our light. But a glimmer of hope escaped the shadows of the underworld. The messenger arrived here at the Ogun River, my home. I will not abandon those in need. The waters are patient and cleansing. My allies will know the strength of the tides, and our enemies will fear the flood.
And just like that, we're in North America. My name is Tom Battinger, and I'm here to be your host as we take a look at the North American Minor League, our final look at the North American Minor League as teams fight their way to get to land. We just got a look at Europe, and after that, we got a look at Yamoja, one of the newest characters in the game. A lot of control, and a lot of control as players try to control their destiny, looking for land. Joining me during our afternoon is going to be Zeros, fantastic player in his own right, but now joining us on the analyst desk. How you doing, buddy?
I'm chilling, dude. Nice to have you by my side.
Hell yeah, man. Always glad to be hanging out here, doing the work. The work was done by the European teams, though. Simplicity staying up on top, 7-3. And Outcold Gaming make a stand. This was impressive. And I know we're going to move on to the North American side, but I really want your take on this one, because this was just good old-fashioned, a great SMITE set.
Yeah, huge win for Outcold. They had their destiny in their own hands, and they get the win over the top team in EU SML. So, just great performance. When it really matters, they pull through and get the win. So, congratulations to them.
You know, I said it on the cast. I'm not really surprised. Maybe not because of the level of play, but the level of just veteranship. I mean, Dimmy's a world champion. Prime has been on that stage. Breeze, in his own right, has been successful in his own world, right, with the world of Fnatic across the way. So, this is a team of people that know how to win.
Yeah.
Stand up when it matters. Great look there. That's Europe, though. Moving over to North America is where we're sitting. Armada sitting up on top, and Sanguine is number 2. So this is going to be a very interesting look as far as we're concerned when it comes down to who's going to land. It's easy for Sanguine. All they have to do is win a single game. This is the best of 3, folks, right? So if Sanguine win a single game, they're going 2-1, 2-0, 1-2. They're good to go. If they get 0-2'd, then they have to play number 3. For Armada, it's a little bit different. Sanguine, if they win 2-1, Armada have to win that single game, and they're able to go. All they have to do, Hype Unit is the one sitting here and praying. Hype Unit has to hope that things go awry. Yep. Both Armada and Sanguine just have to take one home.
For sure. Sanguine's been looking so good. I love watching this team because, I think I mention it every time I see them, but I play against these guys so much in ranked, and they're all so good. But yeah, a lot of different outcomes that can be here, and super interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I think the Sanguine team has been one of the most impressive teams on the minor league side of things, specifically North America. And something that I really love about this team is their dedication to the game, how hard they play. Zero's mentioned that he plays against them in ranked. These guys go play their ranked games like it's world finals. And sitting here listening to the pro league players,
that might be a stretch.
No. I listen to the pro league players when they come and they sit as obviously they play here at LAN, and they go, man, I get Sheento in my game, and I know I have to play at my top level because these guys are they leave everything out on the field. Yeah. And as a minor league player, there's a lot of you're searching for that chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, for sure. Always performing well in ranked, as you said.
No.
Okay, whatever.
Performing well, one thing. The approach to the game is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, sure.
Every game they come out and they really try to bring their best. We'll see if that's the case here in our minor league set. Let's get to picks and bans as Armada look to take on the Spanish-speaking Sanguine. Armada will have the first pick, first ban.
Yeah, you have to think Armada's gonna come out big here as well with they have masked Baskin, so many veteran players that also been on the world champion stage before, right? So
yep.
You have to think now when it's actually they need to get the win today. I can't expect anything else than them just coming out with a banger.
It's interesting looking at that whole conversation. A lot of what Outcold Gaming I was saying was a tribute to their veteranship. But the other side of the coin is also well and good. Talking about Sanguine kind of approaching all the games with this level of fervor because they haven't ever made it. This team has always been kind of one step below, whether talent-wise or otherwise. They've always kind of been one step outside. And so this is the time for Sanguine to make themselves known. We'll see if that's the case. Our bans are done.
Yeah.
Everything as you would have predicted. A Jormungandr ban coming out from Sanguine.
Yeah, I mean, just a solid pick in general, works very well. Don't think I praised Jorm a lot for being super strong a while back, but like, I kind of changed my mind on, he's still really good.
Right.
But I feel like a strong mid-game warrior has more impact on the game most of the time.
Certainly could be. The Thor is the first pick, and I'm not surprised. Mask is going to pilot this character fantastically. Might even make his way over to the solo lane there for Baskin. A little bit of flexibility. Across the way, Sanguine.
Yeah, Tyr's still open here as well. Like the buff Tyr, like people praise that pick so much. Some say it's like one of the top picks in the game right now. Hasn't been picked in the top 3 here. Kind of interesting.
Serqet going to be chosen here for Armada, and you know the Tyr is interesting. Obviously, the big change to Tyr, getting his knockup back on the blue fearless stance, so it brings him a little bit more control. He's been picked up a little bit more, and a little bit more pickup has been on this Kukulkan.
Yeah.
Zerios, talk to me about this god.
Not a big fan even after the buffs, but I still need to see more after the buff. Like he was played last week in SPL a lot, and that was pre-buffs, and did okay. Like Nanu did a lot of work with it, and then we saw Dardas playing it once, lost that game, but still did work, I'd say. So interested to see what he can do on that. Has a lot of setup with the Serqet and 4 as well for his ultimate. So
First round picks set in stone. Sanguine will take Merlin, Jing and the Tyr that Zeros had mentioned earlier on. Thor, Serqet, and Kukulkan will show up in Armada colors. Sanguine have finished their bans, and it will be 2 carries, 2 basic attack characters, no Kronos and no Chernobog. Whereas Armada opt to skip a ban and ban out the Geb. Is there a world where this is a relevant strategy?
skipping a ban, I don't know. I mean, it's like always some kind of disrespect to it. Like, whatever, you can have whatever you want. We don't care. But probably just ran out of bank time or something, and like that's what I would assume.
Xing Chen is a character that I have been asking for more of since mid-season, actually. I really think this character has a lot to bring, and if you're looking for control, he certainly could be one of them. Hachiman Achilles round out the draft for Armada.
Interesting here, a lot of flex potential on Armada, like Serqet can go many different roles, same with Thor and Achilles. Even Kukulkan and Hachiman can switch between mid and dual lanes. They have a lot of flexing to do in Armada, but I feel like this Kukulkan gonna struggle a bit. Like I feel like Susano and Tyr and Xing Tian can sit on Kukulkan, and they don't have that much peel for him either on Armada, so I feel like this Kukulkan should struggle, but we'll see. We
will certainly take a look. Game number 1, LAN implications. Let's jump down to the field.
X, Tom, and Zeros, Finch, and Aggro here this time as we move into Armada versus Sanguine. Hype unit at the current top of the pack, but only because they've played one more game. They're on a bye week right now at 7-3, waiting for who ends up winning this game here, Aggro. And I got to imagine that they're hoping that it's Armada that come out with a nice 2-0 here.
Yes. Well, I mean, that would make it so that Sanguine can't win a game. There's a whole bunch of implications. Here's the easiest way for you guys at home. If you win this game, you're in. So that's a pretty easy way to do it.
For Armada and Sanguine, yes.
Yes, for Armada and Sanguine, if you win this game, you're in. Hype unit is either hoping that Armada gets swept or Sanguine gets swept in order to avoid the tiebreaker scenarios. And now, if you still have to play a tiebreaker if Sanguine wins, if Sanguine loses this set, then there's going to be a tiebreaker or Sanguine just goes. As long as Sanguine win a game, they're in no matter what. So if you're rooting for these two teams, you're hoping for a 2-1 in Armada's favor.
That'd be pretty nice for these two teams, as you said, but hyping it, of course, hoping that things don't quite break that way. And now that we're into the actual, nitty-gritty here of this match, I wonder if Armada, maybe grabbed this Kukulkan a little early. I know that it's become a bit flavor here lately. Still a relatively new flavor, but becoming flavor all the same. But Kukulkan can get punished, even though he has some relatively decent lane clear that he can do from far away. And Susano, certainly one of those gods that loves to do it.
Yeah, it's an easy god that can close the gap, and that's what Kukulkan really struggles with the most. Also, if you are going to be on top of him, he wants you to be literally on top of him, auto-attacking so that he can just drop the Spear of the Nine Winds and it can flatten you like a pancake as you're trying to kill him. But Susano can create space really, really easily. I mean, you can hit Stormkata from a decent period away. You can Wind Siphon, Jetstream, Kukulkan uses the ult, then you teleport to the Jetstream. There's a lot of mind games you can play against the Kukulkan, and I like this pick of the Susano. I do think that Kukulkan is worth early selections. I do think he's one of the better mid laners right now, but it is always a little bit scary. It's your execution threshold. If you're going to hit everything, this character is going to look nuts.
A lot of the good items right now for mages have mana on them, and Kukulkan loves when he can build stuff with mana on them. I mean,
Sure.
as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty simple in that regard, but he's good a lot of other stuff here too.
Yeah, the fact that Book of Thoth isn't very good right now is concerning for the character. That's
Sure.
his best item he can ever get, is Book of Thoth.
Yeah.
So that being out of the meta does hurt him a little bit, but otherwise there are a lot of other items that have mana that are solid on him for sure.
Jarcorrr goes with the Mage's Blessing start here and not much else, since he's going to be wanting to try and get into that Glad Shield as soon as possible. You know, I was talking to Zeros a little bit about this, and he doesn't always love the Mage's Blessing start for the tier because there's so much incremental damage out there, and Warrior's Blessing is so good. But I feel like Thor is one of those matchups where he actually doesn't get punished for it that badly. Mage's Blessing probably feels real good here.
Agreed. You were probably talking about it when the earlier contest
Against
was
the
Julio
Jormungandr.
against the Jormungandr,
Yeah.
and against Jorm, Warrior's Blessing is sick because it makes his auto attacks deal way less relevant damage. Against the Thor, I agree. I think the Mage's Blessing can work in this scenario. Now, with both Mask and Baskin on this side of the map, you're in danger of dying, but you've got 6 sustain. You can really stay pretty healthy in this lane just because Power Cleave is such a crazy heal ability that maybe you can keep yourself out of execute range anyways. It gets you to full CDR faster. I've got no problem with it. I like it more here than I did for Julio for sure.
No, I think that Jarcorrr has picked a good spot here for this time, as Sanguine have a bit of a grouping by those left mid Harpies. It's only NotGeno that's nearby, but he won't step across the line here this time. He'll be A-okay. Won't have to worry about falling anytime soon. But I feel like you pick this Serqet support. Tom and I were talking about this last game, to be aggressive, especially in the early game. Serqet support in the late game can run into some real struggles. Is that the read too? I do feel like Serqet supports need to be really active early.
Not necessarily pre-5, but as soon as you hit level 5, you've got to be hitting the gas pedal for sure. And it's really there to synergize beautifully with this Kukulkan. I mean, Serqet locks you in one area for a little bit, and then will toss you in a direction. Kukulkan wants you in an area so he can hit the tornado, and then flatten you with the ultimate. So as long as Geno's tossing to Meerkat every time, you really are alley-ooping, you know, tossing it underhand, whatever analogy you want to use, to set up this Kukulkan for easy ultimates. That should be pretty good here for Armada. And while it will struggle in the late game, there's enough CC elsewhere in the composition that I'm not too worried for Armada. But it is going to be really reliant on Baskin come the late game to be that initiator. I think this team does lack initiation for sure. Their defense is sick because they have Kukulkan, and his defense is always sick. But I am worried about their late game sieging.
They could benefit mightily from being able to get further out in front here in this game. Mast is on this Achilles in the jungle, and we've seen some different schools of thought on how to build this. Scream likes to build this Achilles full damage and just kind of run at you, but we just saw in that last set that you can still build Achilles a little bit more in between with tons of those defensive items. How dependent is it on you on the state of the game, like getting a big lead, or is it matchup when you're deciding on how you want to build that Achilles?
I think it is about what your team comp really needs from you. In this game, we might see Masco a little bit more defense-oriented because you have an assassin in the support role that can put out a little bit of extra damage for you.
They're not going to be missing damage, I feel like, on this team.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, you are 4 physical, so maybe you need to lead heavier into pen. No mace start means that Mass might be rushing the Transcendence, though, not that penetration. That would certainly make a pretty big difference for his damage output onto the tankier targets.
This might be a counter collapse here from Sanguine, though. Mast doesn't look like he has the read on an airstrike for damage earlier, but I don't know if Netrioid can come back down. Now he can. The Fatal Strike's over, but instead they'll switch targets over to Vetium, and Panitom finds first blood for Sanguine on the Susano.
That looked like Vetium canceled that ultimate early right there. It didn't seem like he got the full duration of that mounted archery, and maybe he was trying to trick Sanguine into getting his, you know, he would hop off and beads right away, which he did, but just poor execution. Really good communication by Sanguine, understanding the map, and they nearly got Netrioid, but his quick use of that airstrike was enough to keep him safe.
And take a look at the mid lane. Sheento about a full level and a half or so over Meerkat. I imagine, yeah, he's not far from ticking over to 7, so a little over a level that's favoring Sheento here in this mid matchup. And they haven't done a ton to kind of push Meerkat out or pressure him in the mid lane either. So that's just a nice raw lead that Sheento's working on.
And this is perfect. This is what Sanguine does really, really well, is they highlight where whoever player they think has a really good matchup. They do a very good job of facilitating for that player.
But this is that combo you mentioned earlier, pretty much foolproof, and it's going to happen every single time if you don't have beads.
That's free every time for Geno and for Meerkat. 2 ultimates right there. Might not even need the Serqet ultimate as the game goes on. I mean, Meerkat's building plenty of power. He is going for the book, so no Doom Orb. I think this is right. Even though book isn't particularly strong in the meta, it's a must-buy on Kukulkan.
Do you think Doom Orb will come right after? I think we saw that in the last set too. Book of Thoth into the Doom Orb.
Yeah, I think that was Creed who was playing it in the long lane.
Right.
I think that's a little bit too slow in mid. I think you need to pen a little bit earlier in the mid lane than you do at ADC. But if I'm playing ADC, then yeah, I think it's fine.
Jarcorrr just got baited into using that Lawbringer ultimate. Now he's a sitting duck for the CC chain. The stun coming out from Baskin into the fatal strike from Masked. Won't see a more textbook gank than that.
Perfect. As soon as Jarcorrr uses an ultimate that he really shouldn't have, I don't think he's got kill potential on Baskin, even if that ultimate lands. And Baskin's not getting hit by a telegraphed Lawbringer like that. You're going to end up in a pretty bad spot. Just perfect timing by Mask as well. Maybe a little bit of poor timing by Jarcorrr. You're not using that ultimate and going for the kill, or to use it to clear, whatever he was using it for, if you know that Mask is on your side of the map.
Agreed, so that's the only world where he gets punished for it, but also, as you said, there's no world where it pans out as Panitom gets caught making the sin of being between his tier 2 and tier 1, I suppose?
Baskin, big. That's where we are right now, level 10 for him, and so now it's probably going to become which of these fed players on each side. I mean, Sheento still has a pretty good advantage. Meerkat just now hitting level 9. Up against Baskin and his level 10 Thor. I mean, that's gonna be a story. Can Baskin take him out?
And Netrioid is about even with that experience level 2. They may have had to sacrifice Jarcorrr over here and right, but the two carries of Sanguine are benefiting greatly, I think, from a little bit of extra attention from Sanguine. And that is exactly what you're saying, right? Can Baskin have enough of that impact to make up for the fact that Sanguine are boosting their carries?
And I like this idea, but Geno and Baskin have to be careful. There's a big rotation coming. Might not be a little bit too late, though.
Baskin sells the ultimate, so if he's in trouble, he can always leave, but it's Geno who's been isolated. Ambush allows him to escape, and just like that, what looked like potential trouble for Armada might even be another counter collapse, but they'll head back to their own blue.
This is just patient play right there by Baskin. I mean, you don't want to go right on the tower line. He's only level 11, using his only CC immunity, so if he dunks Ronngyu and they don't insta-kill him off of it, Baskin's going to die, and it's not worth it to try and burst the enemy's support in exchange for your fed solo laner. You got what you came for, and that was the blue buff invade.
And we just saw last game how little the early game ended up mattering in that set. Both teams played very, very patiently, and it came down to late game a lot. I wonder if we'll see that same thing materialize here in another game with huge LAN implications. Jarcorrr in some trouble yet again. They have clearly made this tier a target.
And Geno's been everywhere on the map so far. I mean, basically anywhere you could ask him to be, he's been right there. This is a perfect start for Armada. Get Basket ahead, get Geno ahead.
Nice shots there from Netrioid to really punish Vetium. Great mounted archery though, but it's still not enough. You're right, Panitom had too much damage on the Susano, and they grabbed the tier 1, so you're right that Geno's been active, but I don't know about everywhere. It's been mostly on that right side of the map. Over here on the left, there has not been much help.
But honestly, I don't know if even Geno coming over is a good idea. I mean, Vetium is so far behind, and again, a bad decision by him. Your tower is at a sliver of HP, trying to sit and spring the trap on Netrioid, who's got a pretty big experience lead on you, is probably not your best decision. Ends up really paying for it pretty dearly. And this is the only thing that can go poorly for Armada, right? I mean, your mid lane is caught up now in Meerkat because he's been getting more solo waves because Geno's been spending more time on right. You've set Jarcorrr behind. Baskin is pretty fed. Vetium's job is not to solo Netrioid. In any realm is it his job to solo Netrioid. It's just to live. That is his only job, and so far he has been unable to do that.
You basically just want to try and mitigate this extra attention, right? I mean, and so much of SMITE comes down to these sort of designed disadvantages and advantages, right? I mean, that's what MOBAs are in a lot of ways. I always talk about the 2 levels of frontline and which one buckles first, and that oftentimes determine the fight. It's the same thing here. They've given up on Vetium to accelerate Jarcorrr, and which one of those two is going to pan out more will almost certainly dictate the game.
Baskin's in a good spot to try and make it work, especially with another gank coming on your core side of the map. Might have actually helped him by telling him not to go proxy.
Yeah, instead, Jarcorr's in some trouble though as even Geno makes the way. Without that wall landing though, Jarcorrr might be okay, but gets caught by the last breath.
Ugly.
Not quite an execute threshold though, so Jarcorr's out.
And look at what Sanguine's doing. They're going right to the Gold Fury because Vetium's a non-factor. Meerkat's caught underneath the tower. He actually has to beat Rongyu's Blink ultimate just in case because he doesn't know where everybody is. And that's an excellent Gold Fury.
But this is where things get back out of control. Jarcorrr was out, man, over here in the solo lane. To come back in and still get hit by this gank from Mass, that's brutal. As Vetium just kind of standing around. Not so sure if everything's... Yeah, that's what it looked like to me, too. And he'll pay for that here with Panitom coming in. So I would expect for Armada to probably take a moment here soon.
Looks like Netrioid is willing to let Vetium get off the hook there, but Panitom
Not Panitom.
was not. No, and you know what? Respect, man. I respect it on both sides. I've got respect for both sides of that one. I'm killing him 100%. I mean, this is to go to land, man. There's
I got a lot more respect for Panitom than Netrioid. I mean, being a good guy is great and all, but I'm pretty sure you're here to win.
Now, if that's game 2 and Sanguine's already won their way to land...
That's right, yeah. Then you gotta let Vetium chill. Yeah.
Well, it's like, do we like Armada or Hype Unit boys more? Who do we want to hang out with when it comes to land? That's the real determinant.
I thought that was going to be the case for simplicity, but they came out cold hard here today, man. I don't think that there was anything being gifted in that earlier set today, and it looks like we're seeing the same thing here. Every one of these teams has come out to play.
And look, Vetium is already far behind now, an unfortunate circumstance. Sets him even further behind.
Yeah.
I mean, he's down 3 levels right now to what Netrioid is doing.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in the old days of SMITE, you had to wait until, you were out of combat for the pause to be able to come through, and there was some arguments about, should you be intentionally putting them in combat so they can't pause or something like that. That was way back in Season 1, right? I think there was a big kind of kick up about that, but you don't have to worry about that nearly as much here. Vetium does end up falling, and as soon as able, Armada gives him some time to regroup.
So now Sanguine on the back of that Gold Fury and another kill on that left side of the map have really been able to group up on the right. This is the right thing to do. I mean, Netrioid has such a big lead. He can't really push it much more than he already has.
Panitom goes right past, and this is that mind game you mentioned earlier. He blinks in. Meerkat has no choice but to insta-ult. Panitom avoids it. That's an easy kill. And a great job from Geno using the last breath to avoid the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. He makes his way out.
That was really sick, actually, by Geno. That's a quick 180 and that ultimate in order to make sure he doesn't get picked up and put down. But that's exactly what you wanted, to get Sheento back in the lead a little bit. Mid laners both at the very bottom of the player damage chart so far. Neither one has really been willing to brawl quite yet. They've been kind of on farm mode.
Surprisingly, just not involved in these fights. It's been all side lane. I'm sure you wouldn't mind getting a couple games like that yourself, as Baskin the only one that can come defend the Pyromancer, but Netrioid gets left in the middle. Somehow he's the one isolated, gets the airstrike off though anyway, and now it's a bait. All of a sudden Armada are the ones in the trap. At the very least, Geno gets back there and makes him pay for it, but a 2-for-1 for Sanguine out of what should have been a disaster.
Man, now Panitom's gonna find Geno. He's gonna be able to chase him down, maybe not get the kill, because Geno's awfully tanky, but certainly buy enough time for Sanguine to get this Pyromancer. And I was highlighting earlier, it might just be Sheento versus Baskin. How about the damage Sheento just put out on a Baskin? He was 70% HP when he started charging that ultimate, and the switch stance into the fire for Sheento just torched Baskin. He has no magical defense, and a Doom Orb plus a Spear of the Mega, Sheento was doing true damage.
Yeah, whatever's on that Warrior's Blessing, that's what Baskin's got right now. It ain't enough, and you can see him looking to rectify that immediately. Emerald Talisman coming out for him as he starts to build some magical defense and shut down a little bit of that damage coming out from Sheento. But like you said, he's got the Spear of the Magus he's working on here already. He's still going to be able to chip through that pretty well.
And look, Baskin will get to the point where he's too tanky for that to happen to him, but by the time that happens, has Sheento found another kill into Meerkat or Geno or Vetium by that point? I mean, that's the problem. And with all these kills going Panitom's way, it set Mask's pretty far behind. I mean, Mask has been an impact on the right side of the map, but nowhere else quite yet, and that's going to need to change.
Right, he hasn't been particularly active. And remember earlier we were questioning what kind of build are we going to see from Mask. It looks like his team could, I mean, we just saw Baskin get blown up, could use another tanky presence. But Transcendence, he's working on more Pen here. I mean, that could be a Brawlers or Crusher. If there is more tankiness coming from him, we're still a ways away from it.
Geno's lurking, and they might be able to CC kill Ronngyu, but no Pen yet for Meerkat, and that's going to be a problem. I mean, he's got Poly, so his damage will chunk squishies, but Rongyu's going to be safer.
Mast blinks in to try and get a fight started onto Netrioid. Baskin takes to the sky, trying to track him. That closes the gap. A wall right there to follow up, and the combo that's going to work for them all game long. Meerkat with the ultimate cleans up the kill.
But that was 5 ultimates to kill Netrioid.
All of them.
All 5. So Sanguine go, that's cool. Sorry, dude. We feel for you, but we got a tier 1 in mid. We can back it up and stay pretty safe. And honestly, Armada is at a disadvantage in a 5-on-4 because the enemy team has so many ults.
I mean, Netrioid's trying to figure out what he did so wrong to these guys, right? I mean, to earn 5
He's the one who let Vetium live.
I guess, yeah, right, exactly. It was Panitom that came back in when it looked like Vetium was having a bit of a DC there, as Geno now the one taking his own back. But it looks like that 5v4 won't amount to much in Armada's favor either, so now they truly did just commit 5 kills purely just for one, or 5 ults for 1 kill in the Netrioid.
At least it's something. I mean, Netrioid is worth an awful lot of gold. I'm sure Meerkat didn't mind that bounty, but he's pretty far behind still, even with it. Bottom of the player damage charts, he's really just been there as the follow-up bot, which is normal and fine for Kukulkan, but you probably want a little bit more than literal last on the player damage charts. But
Sure.
Armada playing big brain. Anytime you pick Kukulkan, you want to lose in the early stages because he's at his best on the defense. So you're just putting him in a position to succeed.
That's really all that is, man. And
I say that every time I play Kukulkan.
Are you surprised at all that a team with, I mean, Meerkat knows that, right?
Right.
So he's
playing around it really well.
Yeah, I think he's done a good job of that here so far. And to your point, Sanguine do enjoy a 3K gold lead, but that's certainly nothing worth writing a home about. But it looks like it is enough for them to start posturing around this Primal Fury. They've already gotten 1 Fury to their name. They'd like to make that 2 as Baskin makes his rotation over. All ultimates, all available, and relics for this fight.
Meerkat's ultimate is going to be the best secure on the map, so that's something that Sanguine has to respect. Baskin looking for a target. Doesn't have a great one.
Wow, Jarcorrr is the pick, and the team confident they'll be able to do enough damage to burn him quickly, and they were correct. In comes Meerkat's ultimate, creates chaos just about everywhere, but Geno can't make it out of there, neither can Vetium. Netrioid makes it to the sky with the airstrike, so Sheento gets 1 more on the Meerkat as well, but Baskin has the read, gets the Aegis out from Netrioid, the knockup's there, but Baskin's immune. He just needs to get in range for 1 more auto. Where's the peel, ladies and gentlemen? Netrioid ends up falling eventually.
That is so sick. Baskin, if he kills Panitom 2 here, that is something else, man. That is crazy that he finds Netrioid, and he's out, man. Yeah, he's gone. They can't kill him. That is absurd, dude.
Yeah,
that is
only
nuts.
an idiot would write a headline entitled Baskin Who, because this guy's an absolute madman at this point, man. I can't believe Extreme Man wrote that and then attributed it to me.
Right,
when I would
and
never
then
have done that.
you also took credit for it on Esports Weekly and said that you wrote it.
No, that didn't happen. No one, there's no tape to go back and watch.
We have the tape here ready to go. What if we did, if they just had it instantly?
Sick, wouldn't
Man,
it?
that'd feel real good for me. Unfortunately, we were not prepared, but that's okay. I mean, that is a huge fight for Meerkat there to really disrupt that whole engagement, because that was going to be a 5-man Typhoon for Panitom that was going to really ruin that whole team fight for Armada. But Meerkat gets all of his damage off. Look, he was bottom, very bottom. He was at like less than 2K. He got 3K worth of damage in that one team fight alone. So Meerkat did his job really well, and then Baskin just does Baskin stuff and keeps Armada in it.
Primal Fury never even went down in Sanguine's favor, so Armada going to try and burn it down quickly. They've got the confirm here for Meerkat as well, so that's a Primal Fury in favor of Armada, but Sanguine not going to let them get away with that for free. They force Geno's ultimate, and despite not wanting them to get away for free, Armada do.
I like that use of Geno's ultimate.
Yep.
May as well play it safe. You got a little bit of CDR with the Relic Dagger early on. I like the way Armada's playing right now, Finch. I mean, Sanguine's got a lead. And that XP differential is a big deal, especially in mid-jungle and ADC right now. Your damage-dealing roles, Sanguine has a big advantage in XP in all of those. But I think Armada's playing really well as a unit.
I think so too. Sanguine get the Pyromancer. It's no contest on that objective. Geno gonna see if they can get the beads out from Sheento, but wow, that's insane patience from Sheento to not use beads or Aegis there with a Serqet on top of him, but he had the right read. He wasn't in any danger.
And he knew that the ultimate was down. Geno just used it a little bit ago, so able to stay nice and patient. Now,
even still,
at the
I'm
same
impressed.
time, if you eat a full Serqet combo and Meerkat just Zephyrs and auto-attacks you with Polynomicon, you're dead. But that's either good communication or he looked down the lane at the right time right before he got taunted to know that there was no one coming.
That is impressive either way for Sheento. He's now finished the Ob Shard. How's this? Doom Orb, Spear the Magus, Soul Reaver, Ob Shard. You taking that?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
I like where
seems
we're at.
good, huh?
Yeah, this seems good to me. I think that Sheento's going to do, give or take, a lot of damage.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood.
I think we talked about Super Dead. That's what you're going to be if you're in Sheento's damage.
Right, yeah, he's got a lot of it, and probably will work towards either a Shaman's Ring or an E-Staff to round out the build.
Yeah.
Could go Chronos Pendant. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think that I'd rather have the extra damage on my first rotation, because you get 2 rotations anyways because you're Merlin. So I don't think that Chrono Spin, it feels really good when you have it, but I don't know. I think that I've always been a fan at the competitive level of just making the most out of my buttons right away.
Well, Baskin didn't teleport to the hammer. What happened there?
He knocked him up. Sheento transformed into Arcane Stance and had the mini knock-up.
Wow, that was perfect. And Baskin, to his credit, I wouldn't have even known what had happened to me. He started channeling the ultimate instantly when I would have been looking around confused. It's Fire Giant now started up for Sanguine, and they will not have Baskin and Thor to defend. And it looks like they're just making the call to give it up. They're going to look for Geno, trap him in the Whirlwind of Rage, and steal 2 kills. I don't know. Sanguine could have stayed on the FG there, but maybe they'll get it anyway.
They need to make sure the Meerkat's ultimate is not in range, and Panitom's on it.
Panitom forces Meerkat into the Aegis. This time, though, Panitom does get caught by the ultimate. Panitom still clinging to life with the back end, and Jarcorrr controls 2 members. You draw it up that way, but it never happens like that.
That is perfect, man. Sanguine get the Fire Giant, and what do you know? It's Sheento versus Baskin. Sheento makes a play, one-shots Baskin with all that damage, basically, and ends up opening up the whole Fire Giant. Then Panitom makes a play, then Jarcorrr makes a play. That's what this Sanguine roster looks like when they're humming.
Baskin, though, not trying to give up this mid-Phoenix or right Phoenix just yet. He comes right into the fray, but Jarcorr's there for the CC chain. The Xing Chen wants to keep it going, and Jarcorrr gets the kill credit, and they take the right side. Phoenix, Sanguine trying to punch their ticket here to the land. They only need 1 win.
They're right on the edge, man. They are up 11K in the blink of an eye, and that XP differential continues to take a nosedive. That's less important in the sense that Sanguine's getting more XP because everyone's level 20 for the most part. It's more important that Armada's has not trended upwards, that Meerkat's been level 17 for a long time, just now hitting level 18. This is not a good spot for Armada to be in. They need, and remember, they cannot get 2-0'd here today. If they get 2-0'd, then Hype Unit goes to land.
That's exactly right. So Armada are going to need at least 1 win out of this set. That 2-1 is what we were talking about before for Armada. That would favor sending these 2 teams directly towards the land and kind of leapfrogging over Hype Unit, but we're still in the throes of a game number 1. I wonder if Baskin can find some kind of way to get some more magic defense, though, out of this build. I mean, the breastplate, the void shield, the glad shield, that's great if it's Panitom or Netrioid, but Sheento, with just a Pestilence to worry about, he's hitting home with Ob Shard and Spear Magus.
Yeah, I think I'd be going Onis from here. You're a little bit light on health in this build, and it's more important on the Assassins to get health, because you're not getting that natural health per level scaling like a Warrior or Guardian would. But Baskin's going to be in the thick of things, right? He's going to be right in the middle of the entire enemy team. He wants to be because he's getting more power from his passive. Why not get the defensive version of your passive with that Oni Hunter's Garb? I think that's the direction I'd be going. You don't need the Genji CDR. You're already pretty much maxed. You could go something like Mantle, and that's fine too. But I think that an Oni's would do you pretty well here. I'm not sure he's going to get a chance to finish Mantle.
It'll be a while before he makes it there. Sanguine have now grabbed all the tier 2 towers on the map. It's just the left and mid Phoenix that still stand. They'll grab this Oni Fury, perhaps the most valuable one at this stage of the game, because it gives you 1 more minion wave as a threat. And to be honest, they can push with it. They got another minute and a half to come back in and make another push with these waves.
Vetium has just really struggled so far this game. Clearly having some issues there with the DC that we saw earlier, but this is the do or die set, right? And he's bottom of the player damage charts, 0-5, below both supports. That's just not going to cut it.
Armada were the unquestioned top team, I would say, across all of the minor league back in Phase 1 when they still had Snoopy on this squad and Scream. And I think moving over to Mass and Vetium, you are losing little to no talent, I would say, with that swap. But
Don't let Scream hear you say that.
Yeah, with all that talent that he's got. But I do think it's looked like they've never really gelled here in Phase 2, I would have said.
Yes, I mean, I really viewed Snoopy as the leader of this Armada squad whenever he was there. I mean, how many games would Scream and Baskin fall really far behind, building nonsense because they're
playing nonsense in their picks,
because they're Scream and Baskin, and of course they will. And then Snoopy pulls them up by their bootstraps and single-handedly wins them the game, it felt like. They've just been sorely missing that presence.
Jarcorrr has the 1v1 against Mast and Min. Meanwhile, the 4v4 in left favoring Sanguine. They got half the damage on the Phoenix, but they're on the full disengage when Baskin takes to the sky. Now that they've baited that ultimate out, they're ready to come right back in.
You can tell the communication is so good for Sanguine. That's another ultimate used or presence used without purification beads for Panitom.
Jarcorrr threatening the mid Phoenix again. Mass is not here for the fight, so it's really a 4v3. Ronngyu starting to melt though underneath all that damage from the tornadoes. Nice fight for Geno, and left Phoenix still has not come down.
Panitom is gonna be able to pick up Vetium, and Meerkat, it won't get him, but Baskin's wall will. Vetium gets the kill credit, and boy, is that a gift from the SMITE game programming gods to get Vetium on the board.
And that was with Jarcorrr hounding Baskin too. How does he have the presence of mind to turn around and throw an almost perfect wall over there to get them one more kill? And still Sanguine are hugging at the tower line. Finally, it looks like they've decided they have to give up the ghost on the siege. No, the Sheento comes back in for more.
A little bit of extra damage, why not? Pad the numbers. He's already top of the player damage, that's okay, but Baskin did not find it.
Wow, they had a knockup right there where he landed, and Jarcorrr absolutely is going back in. It's still only a 3v4, and with Mast way in right, at least as far as Sanguine knew, they felt good about that fight, but they got to fully disengage here. Baskin in some trouble. Jarcorrr wanted that one. Mast comes to the backline where there's two, but has to use Fatal Strike defensively. They lock down Jarcorrr, but the ultimate from Meerkat off the mark, and Netrioid gets the kill in the Mast. Jarcorrr immunes the CC with his own ultimate. There's no fighting.
And Netrioid wraps around the back. Meerkat does finally get one. Netrioid didn't get dotted, but Sheento did, but the Aegis buys him so much time, and he cleans up Geno with ease.
Wow, man, Sanguine are here to play. If you had any doubt in your mind, I can't believe you could have, about this Sanguine roster. They are impressing here today. Vetium, 30 seconds by himself up against 3 to try and defend. Sanguine's health bars are low. I don't know if they're going to make an in push here, but they would certainly collapse on Vetium, who just used his ultimate. He's dead.
Dash. He's gone. No way. That's a genocide. I mean, I don't know that he can defend anyways. He tries to take his best 1v1, but relics were still up for Netrioid. He's never winning that through an Aegis.
Sure, well, whether or not he could have defended, this has been a game to forget for Vetium. Sanguine, by grabbing this game, they will be at least one of your NASML representatives. Now it's just a question of who's joining them. Is it Armada or is it Hype Unit?
A true must-win for Armada, man. I mean, even if they only get one, they would at least force the tiebreaker with Hype Unit. Now, they can come back and win the set and just come to LAN outright, not have to worry about that tiebreaker scenario. But right now, it's all kind of up in the air. Sanguine, we know they're going to be here, but that's it.
This creates the maximum sweat for Hype Unit, though, I feel like, right? Is this direct line of events for them. So it's either the 2 wins and they're out, or the 1 win and they get the tie. So they'll be desperately awaiting. But what a set there from Sanguine. I mean, that was like, what, a 3v4 where they're sticking around the Phoenix and re-engaging? That's a crazy read.
And their ability to use their cooldowns in the right spots, hold them when you need to, be able to disengage when you need to. Meerkat's ultimate just off the mark on killing Jarcorrr, and that's a huge difference because Jarcorrr bought so much more time.
Yeah, man, just small margins like that are the difference maker in this game one. Sanguine, congrats to them. They still got one more game to go, and we'll let the desk break it down in between.
So with 1 game in the books, Sanguine are still flying pretty. That said, it's all about Armada right now. If Sanguine win the second one and 2-0, then it's going to be Sanguine and Hype. If Armada fight back, we get to see Baskin at LAN one more time. Zeros, game number 1 goes the way of Sanguine, and emphatically. I mean, they have a 15,000 gold lead. A little bit of a stutter step towards the end, but they bring it home.
Yeah, they just play so well, and like really solid draft as well. And I think Sheento this game just played so good.
Really, really strong stuff. Panitom looked a little stubborn at times, was able to grab the first blood here, and able to find some victories later on. And this was Baskin trying to make some plays as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like Baskin as well, he had a lead over Jarcorrr on the tier in the soul lane pretty much the whole game. He made
a big one.
Yeah, and Baskin honestly was like the one keeping it in this game for the most part, in my opinion. Like, had so many big plays where like individually he was like 1v3ing, still getting kills like this. But like, it just wasn't enough.
Nice play there, using the 3 to avoid the knockup coming out from Netrioid, who had a fantastic game as well, kind of bringing it towards the end. I'm sure we get a chance to see those plays later on. This is that 22-minute mark where this is a little bit before Sanguine is about 10,000 gold down, or excuse me, away from where they would eventually find the victory. Yeah, closer and closer.
Yeah, I feel like you can just tell when Sanguine plays, they're so confident in their carries to do a lot of work. Like, and they do, like every game. Sheento and Netrioid just play so well in the backline, and like Ronngyu and Jarcorrr, like they peel or dive, like they play so well with him as well. So like, just such a solid team.
This is that last play I was talking about. Netrioid chases down 1 and comes around on the flank, picks up a secondary, a tertiary, and then is able to just get out of there, believe it or not.
That was pretty close. How does he not get hit by that tornado? Jesus.
Smooth moves there from Netrioid, 4-3 and 10. As we said, Sheento 5-0 and 10. That guy. I mean, talk about some macro play, some micro play, though. A lot of these small things that Sheento is doing as far as his technique is concerned was really clean.
Yeah, he had a sick play on Baskin. He was going for a gank on Baskin in solo, and like obviously Baskin's playing the 4, and he predicts the 4 hammer with his stance switch. He switches into Arcane, gets the hammer so he can't teleport, and then they get the kill off it. Like a super good mechanical player.
That's the type of stuff that brings you to land, essentially. Sanguine have confirmed that they will be heading there, no problem. The only way they miss is if they get 0-2'd and then lose another one with a tiebreaker. But that's all under the water. That's all gone. Now, we'll see Sanguine there. Game number 2, though, on the way. And we'll see how this one all winds up for Armada, because that's the team who is playing for their own destiny here. You're down a game, and if you lose this one, you know it's gone. How does that make you feel if you're playing for Armada?
I mean, they have so many veteran players. I've said it so many times, but like they have to be able to step up here. I feel like Baskin stepped up last game, but like they need more players as well. I think they were kind of unfortunate. I think Vetium had some DCs or something in that game. Like he got killed when he was DCs. Like it's kind of unfortunate. I guess maybe that was some problem that made them further behind in the mid game that it maybe should have been. But they really need to step it up. Like everything's on the line for them here. If they lose this game, they're out. They're not making it to the placement week. So.
Gotta leave it all on the battlefield here. First round ban's gonna be done here. Armada banning out what you would expect, the Set, the Oleron, and the Persephone, and the Sanguine gonna be banning out exactly what was done in game number 1. Do you expect to see any Persephone, or will she just be permanently banned?
It's weird, because the first set today, when it was Flashpoint against Kesu, I think,
Yep.
Persephone was not banned or picked in any of the games, and every game after that it's been banned every game. So I don't know where teams' place is gonna, because she did get nerfed in the current patch they're playing on.
Right. Is there a chance that they forgot about her in that first game? Does that happen? With permanently got banned?
No, there was so much on the line in that set too, because Flashpoint had to win to have a chance to make it.
That's
obviously, Outcall won the second set, so it didn't matter that they won. But like, there's no way they forgot about that
Just
one.
Oops.
Yeah.
Both teams look at the draft and go, wait a second. Nobody took Thor.
They watched back the votes later tonight, and they're like, what the hell?
Oh no. Merlin, Batz, and Athena will make up the draft here for Armada in the first half. Sanguine, they've got a Thor, they've got a Jing, and they'll pair that up with Jarcorr's King Arthur. So a nice look, honestly, for both sides here. I like the control, though, that Armada's bringing the Batz into the Athena. Someone's popping beads.
Yeah, also taking the Merlin away from Sheento as well. It performed so well in the last game. I think that's really important. Interesting to see what Sheento plays here when the Merlin is off the table.
What are you expecting?
I don't know, like I want to see something that's good against, like obviously they have a lot of hard CC with Athena and Humbat, so maybe something with a CC immune ult, but I guess maybe Toph could work as well. Toph didn't get banned. Athena is pretty good against Toph in my opinion. Like Blink Athena is really annoying to deal with, but I still think you can play against it. I'm not sure.
Second round bans coming out here. Terra is unlikely to be the mid laner of choice for Sanguine, so we will have to wait to see the answer to that question. No Osiris, no Tier. I like those bans for Armada as they select Achilles, likely for that solo lane. Unless Baskin plays the Batz, he might.
Or the Athena.
That's true, actually. With the Chernobog selected, I think we're going to see Meerkat on the Merlin. We have Chernobog in the carry role.
Yep.
And then roll the dice.
The Morrigan. Oh, that's actually they have such. If Sheento is good on Morrigan, and Sanguine is good with playing with the Morrigan, they have such an insane draft. Terra is the best late game transformation in the game for Morrigan.
Really?
It is.
Why is that?
Just the ult. Like you initiate with Morrigan, that's where she's strong. You transform into Terra, people are gonna go on you after you initiate. You get a 5-man Terra ult. You have a lot of mobility, a lot of CC when you're in Terra as well. It's just there's nothing even remotely close to the teamfight potential that the Terra transformation has.
The Terra, the Morrigan, not an accident that they were selected here in tandem. Sanguine are going to bring that one to the bank. You've got Panitom playing on the Thor, Jarcorrr on the King Arthur. Jarcorrr had a lackluster game number 1. I don't expect that for him in game number 2.
Nah, he's on a lot. I mean, Tyr is really strong laning character too, but like King Arthur obviously better. I think Jarcorrr looked not like super confident on Tyr either. He started a Mage Blessing, which is fine in some scenarios I think, but like he got kind of punished in that lane. Maybe if he had a Warrior's Blessing would have looked better, but like didn't have huge impact in the early mid game last game.
We'll see if that's the case. Sanguine looking for the 2-0. We'll see if it comes their way. John, Aggro, bring us the business.
Sanguine looking for the 2-0, but it feels like it's Armada with everything to lose here in this game. They need at least 1 win to keep their hopes alive here. 2 would be cleaner, though, for them, and they could just go home today knowing they can start packing their bags. But Sanguine, hey, man, if they start to drift a little bit, it's probably because they're wondering where they're going to be going to eat and stuff. They're already coming to land.
That's right. They've got their tickets booked. Now, they aren't the first seed. That goes to whoever wins this set, so there is still something to play for Sanguine.
And first and second seed do matter. The second seed is the one that catches the first and second place from that console wars part of it in that first bracket. No matter what, you're going to get to keep moving on, whether or not you play those games. But I think that, Hype Unit and Rival, the console ones, I mean, not their SML and SPL counterparts, that's tough competition, and you could potentially get caught off guard there. I think it would help a lot to be able to avoid those matches.
100%. I mean, those are perfect, we overlooked this team matches, right?
Yep.
I mean, we were so worried about what SK and LG and Obey were going to do that we didn't think about Xbox Hype Unit or...
You don't think someone's worried about what Space Station might do?
Yeah, them too. I just, you do it in thirds.
Sure,
you don't necessarily...
comedy comes in threes.
Right,
Yeah.
I want to do it in fourths, but yeah, for sure. Yep, what you said.
But you're right. I mean, it's an easy matchup to overlook, so there is certainly still implications for that first seed. I think that's part of why we saw Simplicity playing 100% all out up against Out Cold. They wanted to make sure they confirmed that top seed for themselves. I think there was a weird tiebreaker scenario that could have evolved there, so they wanted to make sure that they confirmed they'd be one and could kind of get to avoid that SCL draw.
Well, Armada trying to avoid their draw, but they need to win 2 in a row and maybe try less to avoid the draw and more to understand that they have to just win 1 first. You can't just look forward towards the next set because this one is not a guarantee right now.
Now, I'm looking to Vetium on this Chernobog to improve some. I mean, I'm going to give him at least some credit, not only because he's just a nuts player and you can have off games, but it did seem that he had some issues there as well as far as connecting. But they're going to need him to step up here in this match. It's going to be really hard for this Armada team to win against a good Sanguine unit if their Hunter's struggling.
100%. I mean, Netrioid is such a key part of what Sanguine do. You can't afford to let him run wild and not do a whole lot out of your long lane at the exact same time. That's a recipe for a loss pretty much instantly. That's what Sanguine is an SPL caliber team.
Agreed.
This team could compete at an SPL level given the opportunity to practice that level consistently. You cannot win a 4v5. And that's really what game 1 was.
Yep, I think I agree in terms of just Vetium's impact there. We just have a straight-up duo lane happening over here, by the way.
Yeah, that's
Ronngyu
cool.
and Geno just hanging out like it used to be, old school. It's not often I get to talk about the old days as I'm one of the newer casters here, but in terms of duo lane, I do, as Geno takes a ton of poke. Still not in that much danger just yet, though, and gets pushed back into the tower. I almost forgot what this is like.
It's fun, right? A little 2v2 action. Now, maybe Ronngyu and Netrioid also forgot what it was like because they forgot to go and do purple instead of standing on the tower line and auto-attacking people they weren't going to kill. They knew Mask was in mid, so they weren't worried about a rotation. I think that was a bit of a mistake, a little bit of lost farm, but not a major loss, especially if they go do it now.
Yeah, now they'll be able to grab it. And safer, too, because of Panitom and Sheento's positioning, they should have a pretty good idea if they are under any siege. I say that, and yet here's Mask coming over, potentially catching them unawares, but they've already gotten the buff. They can give up that one small.
Ronngyu on the receiving end of that ultimate. Shell was sick, though. And that's enough to get him out for now.
It should allow for Ronngyu to live, but what about Panitom? He teleports to the hammer, and he's out of there as well. But it's Sheento who's going aggressive. Sheento turned into the Achilles, but Fatal Strike blocked. No executes here.
Beautiful play by Meerkat. That's using the kit and the body in order to get in the way. Netrioid's completely out of mana, but that's his dash. Who we going on? Nobody. No one in range, so Geno holds the taunt.
What do they say in football, giving the body up?
Yeah.
Except in football, you have to glorify that because literally you could die at any place. So,
right, and we love that about it.
Yep,
that's our
that makes
favorite
sense.
part. That's a really big hockey fan, as you would know as a big hockey fan now
Yes,
after going to see your first hockey game live.
Yep.
Giving up the body, blocking the shot, that kind of stuff. Those players are psychopaths, by the way, for being willing to dive head first in front of a slap shot.
A puck being hit as hard as possible by a professional hockey player. Yeah, let me put me
can I
in
get that?
between that. Yeah.
Yo, can I get that?
Let me catch a little bit of that. What's the part of you could put in between the puck that you think is going to be okay afterwards, by the way?
I would.
How much do I need the sole of my foot? Maybe that can block
Oh my
it.
god, that would hurt so bad. No way, man. I'll turn my back to it, and I hope it hits the butt. You know, you want the most meat in between you and that puck. And let's just say that's where I got the most, you know?
Hopefully, you could slow the puck down in that way. Armada and Sanguine virtually tied at this point. Only 2.
I'm not saying I've said it, but I've heard the term wagon.
About you?
Yeah.
I'd like to express that I am uncomfortable now, and hopefully that's understood. As Netrioid also uncomfortable, fearing the evil on the left-hand side. First blood for Masked.
That's huge to get Mask off to a lead.
It's a wagon, yeah, I heard you. I couldn't resist, I'm sorry.
I mean, Mask fell behind last game due to the constant pressure. I really can't. I got to keep on moving here.
Yeah.
I mean, and you get Vetium a lead in that lane, kind of set Netrioid behind. I mean, with how one-sided that lane was in Game 1, that's a good start here for Armada in Game 2.
It certainly is, and as you said, they're the ones playing with a bit more of a premium. Obviously still a lot to gain for Sanguine, but a little bit more there for Armada. As they get on the board here first, particularly giving that kill over the Mast, pulling in Panitom to that arcane stance damage from Meerkat. And that's enough to get Ronngyu to use the ultimate. That's a great last blink back in by Mast, using that monkey toss to force Ronngyu into the ult.
Just a little bit too late, though, from Meerkat. I think if he throws out that arcane stance damage right as Geno is using that taunt, then he would have forced beads on Panitom, or maybe even set Mask up for a potential kill. But just a little bit late. I mean, there is a long travel time on that arcane damage, so you really have to almost preemptively do it. And that's where communication comes in. You know, who is Geno looking to taunt? When is he going to do it? How much have you guys played together to understand that timing if it doesn't need to be expressed verbally? Those are the little things that I think separate a really good team from a great team. And that little bit right there probably doesn't result in a kill, but could have been a little bit better.
Could have been cleaned up a bit more. Sheento, we saw in that last fight, was willing to transform the Morrigan into the Achilles of Baskin and started looking for some kills. And I think early game, that's not a bad pick to be looking for. It can really be game-changing if suddenly you're the one getting an extra 1 or 2 executes in a fight. But I don't know if that's going to keep being the ideal target for him later on. And that's always such a big point, is what are the targets that you want to transform into as the Morrigan?
A little surprised it's not so much Hun Batz so far.
Sure.
Because this is really good.
Yeah, Jarcorrr in some trouble. It looks like Defender of Olympus is going to be here too to taunt Jarcorrr back in, but he's still standing throughout all of this, able to buy himself a little bit of time, but the rest of Armada are waiting for him when he lands. And even through all of that, Jarcorrr still standing. And now it's Sanguine looking for a fight here on the left-hand side. Panitom gets mashed. They find the wall stun to Baskin. Sheento gets a kill of his own. It's a disaster here. A 4-man toss, not bad, Geno, but that's not going to help much.
Ronngyu pops the ultimate, but Geno's got Blink, so that's a good use of it. See you later. Meerkat's on the way, but it's still going to be a 2-on-4. And that's where you don't want to be fighting King Arthur. You have no anti-heal. You have no pen. Mask is gone for Hydra's Lament early on, so he really doesn't do any damage at all. And you're just extra Glad Shield procs. Like, that's all you are in that moment to King Arthur. You're just helping him more than hurting him. And that's easy for Jarcorrr.
Ronngyu, though, in some trouble. This could be a critical return kill, but Armada couldn't find it. Ronngyu somehow weaves through the autos. And Sheento, not even in stealth, steps up aggressive. Meerkat had the beads, though, ready, and Panitom can't find the kill.
That was so much damage, though, from Panitom's spin, man. I mean, that is a ton.
Oh,
Meerkat is here, Mask rather, and he's able to get Sheento. Vetium gets another one. That is the best thing that could have happened right there for Armada. A little bit of an overextension to try and kill Meerkat.
You guys, do you remember how they overextended for us as Geno, or rather Netrioid, as a perfect airstrike to get away to try and get Jarcorrr? What if we just overextend in middle lane there too, looking for kills and give a couple back?
Look, getting the kills was sick, but overextending also looks pretty fun. Let's give it a shot.
Let's just do our own best there, and unfortunately, I mean, I saw what happened. There kept being all these sick plays right there in front of Sanguine. Sheento wanted to come in and find a nice stun. Panitom wanted to rotate in and set up a wall, hammer combo, and it kept being right there for them, and I think they just got a little bit too baited.
Mask here again. Let's try it one more time. No ultimate this time for Jarcorrr. Execute, never gonna land because he's got triple Glad Shield procs. Jump it over. Okay, Mask almost died, by the way, but we feel good about where we ended up there. We got there.
They finally end up getting a critical kill to shut down Jarcorrr early. Panitom's a little bit too slow getting there on that one, and that's with a Thor. I mean, if he can get over there and ult in to try and to make up for mass rotation. That would help out a ton in that spot, but not quite able to keep up.
I mean, all this damage coming from the double ultimates of Mask and Geno is just a little bit too much for Jarcorrr. And Mask still not going pen. I don't know, man. I would really love a Brawler's beat stick. If the game plan is gank Jarcorrr, you need Brawlers, right?
So that lets me have pen and anti-heal against the King Arthur?
That's
that
right.
item, it does both?
Also, it helps against the entire team when Ronngyu ults them. Or when Sheento transforms into Ronngyu and ults again.
Not interested.
Oh, well, that makes one of us. Well, I guess two of us. It's you and Mask who feel like that's not necessary. I mean, this, I don't know, man. You need Brawlers, I think, in this game, desperately. And I get it. Hydra's into Transcendence is a lot of power. It's a lot of CDR. It feels real good when you're hitting squishies only. But that's not been Matt's game plan so far.
Yeah, it's not the build that's bad. It's just that it doesn't seem consistent with the shot calling, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's about all it is. But you're right. I mean, if that's Sheento or Netrioid, they are going to pop in Hydra's and Transcendence, and then you're weaving in some of those Unbot's basic attacks in between.
You know what it is? It seems like Matt may have been spending too much time with Scream. He can't find the mace tree. He didn't start with it last game. He started with Transcendence right away last game.
Well, he is carrying on the mantle of Scream. That is Scream's spot he's standing in right now. So you just got to honor the guy that came before.
Here's the crazy thing about the mace tree.
How good it is.
It's really good, and it's really easy to find. You can type mace in. You can just press the penetration tab on your item store. It's really, really easy, and you should find it.
I wonder how Netrioid knew he wasn't about to get all in by Vetium there, because he was happily trading even low HP, but he had the correct read, and Vetium wasn't looking for any blood on the left-hand side. Netrioid will get to take his back timing here, pick up his second relic.
Chernobog dash just really can't match the length of knock-up agility dash, so Netrioid knows he's fairly safe at all times. It's very difficult for him to get chased by Vetium, and if he ever ults, then you just end up using your own ult.
Jarcorrr starts that off with the stun. In comes the damage from Meerkat, and that should add a lot, but somehow even still Jarcorrr hasn't taken much.
Ooh.
But Baskin lands the perfect execute, and Jarcorrr drops for a second in a row. That's the rotation you're looking for out of your solo laner.
That is the Ed Reeds coming screaming down into the box, just flattening somebody. Just out of nowhere. I never saw him coming, man, and I don't think Jarcorrr saw him either.
Yeah, that guy's Edelman. Tom Brady loves to put him out there, as Sheento's in some trouble there too. Transforms into the Unbots, and the Fear No Evil ended up being necessary, so I guess it was the right call.
Yep.
Sheento makes it out of there.
Yeah, I like that transformation option a lot. Don't get any purification beats for it necessarily, but save your own life. That's still a trade that Armada's willing to take every time. Anytime you can put that Morrigan ultimate on cooldown, you're happy.
Armada are up 5-3 in the kills, but only about 1,000 in terms of gold. It doesn't look like experience is heavily favoring them either, and it's not. So despite how well these kills against Jarcorrr have worked for them, they haven't really been able to translate that into much just yet. Maybe their next fight around the gold period with Sheento's ult down and Jarcorrr with no teleport, maybe that can favor them.
I mean, once the anti-heal comes on for Armada, I really like their chances. I mean, Meerkat's going to get a Divine Ruin, I hope, in this slot, and not a Spear of the Magus. I mean, Mast will eventually get a Brawler Speed Stick because he'll run out of other items to buy, I hope. I mean, this is a position where Armada has a really good draft. They apply anti-heal well. They've got great team fight presence, good CC. I like everything about Armada's draft. They're playing it pretty well, but Sanguine has playmaking potential, and that is kind of what this team didn't really lack for a little bit, but it kind of took a back seat to their identity as team players and as team fighters and as really good as a cohesive unit. Now they've got that and the ability to just make star plays for Jarcorrr or Sheento or Netrioid or Ronngyu or Panitom. All these guys have that playmaking potential, and that's when a team gets really exciting.
That's where Sanguine are, man. Doesn't it? It just feels like this is kind of their year, man, where they were just right on the precipice this whole time. And I keep bringing it back up when I cast them, but it started to those rumblings that you heard about them even before the season had started, about some of the stuff they were doing in some of those community tournaments and stuff, and how all the SPL players were high on this team. And then they come in and they do qualify to MSI. They don't have everyone there, so they can't quite perform, but you saw that glint of what this team has. And here they are now, already qualified and continually impressing. It just feels like it's all trending up for Sanguine to make some noise.
Blinkton from Geno, but a weird ultimate from Vetium. That is so early. I mean, you got to expect that Sheento's going to use beads in that spot. Maybe he was worried about a counter engage and wanted to be there right away, but it's not like that ultimate has a really long channel time. I mean, you can afford to wait for a moment on that ultimate. It just ends up being a bit of a waste for Vetium.
I thought Armada had a decent opportunity to maybe force a fight around the Gold Fury, but you pointed out they maybe want to wait for some anti-heal. Baskin building into what was a Pestilence in Game 1 in almost this exact same slot. So up against a King Arthur and a Terra, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Pestilence again, and maybe that's where they want to fight.
Interested to see that a lot of these solo laners going back to Breastplate of Valor right away.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as Blackthorn gets nerfed, they go straight back to Breastplate, which is more CDR and more physical protection, but less outright health and no power involved. So we might see solo laners kind of take a turn for the tanky going in towards Worlds.
I wonder if seeing Yamoja building it in their home games is kind of revitalizing it in their minds. Like, oh yeah, she's building it and getting all that free Omi. I wouldn't mind having a Breastplate of Valor too.
Breastplate does feel pretty good, man. It's felt good forever.
Yeah.
Its identity as this no health, high physical protection, high mana CDR item is one that has been very, very successful. One of the few tier 3 items that has no passive whatsoever.
Yeah. And you know what? Good.
Doesn't need it.
No, it doesn't. Breastplate of Valor is plenty good on its own, I think, and I'm glad to see it kind of making its resurgence, because this is that item that it feels like kind of fits into that home where the hybrid items are the really scary thing with these warriors, but Breastplate, it just kind of does its job of making you hard to kill.
I want to say it's the only item without a passive. Oh no, Jotun's Wrath doesn't have a passive either. Some of these legacy items almost that have been around for a long time. Jotun's Wrath doesn't have a passive. That is about it, I'm pretty sure.
Interesting. Holy light! There might be some other ones out there. We'll see.
Boots, but that's kind of a cop-out.
No, they don't get tracked the same way as everything else does, or counted, I feel like, along the lines of those other items.
But I guess they should be, because some boots have passives. Like Traveler's Talaria have passives, Reinforced, Guardian, you know, those have passives.
Okay.
Just Warrior Tabi and Ninja Tabi don't.
So there you are, your Breastplate of Valor, your Warrior Tabi, no passive. We'll count all those,
All right.
yeah.
Cool.
It was indeed Pestilence, though, that next item for Baskin.
That's
that
good.
makes a ton of
and
sense.
Divine for Meerkat.
Yep, Divine Ruin right there, too. They got the anti-heal here.
So now I feel like I'm okay taking a fight if I'm on Armada. In fact, I want Geno to back, get his Relic right now. He's at level 12. Rongyu's only level 11. And let's go straight there. Because Mask has a big lead in XP. He's up about a level and a half. You don't want to let Panitom catch up. I mean, yes, Mask is close to a pen option, but I think that you gotta spring the trap where you can and go for this Gold Fury early on in this game. You wanna push this lead as much as you can.
And remember, we kind of talked about it, Armada, as important as this game is for both of them, it's definitely more important for Armada as Ronngyu catches a little bit of damage. This is all good precursor stuff to starting Gold Furies. You want poke if you can get it, and then start lining up on left-hand side. Is that just the skin?
No, Vetium ulted.
Oh, okay, you're exactly right. I was like, I don't recognize
He
that
ulted
effect
again,
that much,
and
but it's the ult.
When Geno taunted Ronngyu?
He doesn't pulse like that in the base form, does he?
Yeah, he has a different color.
As Gold Fury being looked at, doesn't seem to matter a whole lot. Armada burned through the Gold Fury. Fear No Evil popped on Panitom the second he lands. That cost him his beads, and it cost the beads from Meerkat as well. But Armada are running for the hills, spreading like cockroaches. Though Sheento might have committed a bit much to get that red buff invade, he has to use the Changeling to get away.
And that's fine. I mean, Armada probably still happy with this. Sheento does get the ultimate off, but it's not great. In fact, he takes a bunch of damage for it.
Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble. Aegis lets him reposition, but he ends up dying to Mask anyway. Meerkat's low, but Flicker gets him out of there. Netrioid just needs one, but the Aegis buys him time. Jarcorrr there. Jarcorrr finds a double as he gets Meerkat as well. That's huge that they're able to find 2 kick picks under the carries, and now there's just not enough damage.
Panitom low, but not enough to finish him off. In fact, he's going to be out of there, but Mask won't be quite as lucky. Netrioid finds his first.
Man, Jarcorrr comes over and saves that one. He's not done just yet, chasing Baskin and Geno underneath the tier 2. These are tanks, so he's not going to do a ton of damage to them, and the rest of Sanguine aren't finding much on the back end, but Jarcorrr pulled that from the depths.
And I didn't even see. I was looking at what happened to Meerkat, but Vetium dies with both relics up. And I'm just a little confused as to how that happens. You've got to extend your life. I mean, Meerkat was getting focused pretty heavily in those team fights, and I say it a lot. If you're a backliner, whether you're an ADC or a mid laner, and the enemy team wants you dead, they can kill you. I don't care what their comp is. I don't care what your comp is. They can kill you. Now, maybe if you have Kepler, you can get revived, but whatever. So in those situations, you need your other backliner to be separated from you so they don't get hit by the same stuff. And you need them to do work in that team fight, because if you have to make it as hard as your job is to make it as hard as you can for the enemy team to kill you. they will get you, but can I get my damage off? Can I pull them out of position? Can I group them up for a big taunt or for big damage out of Vetium? Can I separate the enemy warrior and make sure that Vetium's going to be able to free cast on him? If Meerkat's the target, Vetium can't be dying, especially with relics up like that.
It's been a set to forget for Vetium. I don't know any other way to describe it, but I said this in set 1 and it came true. It's never too late to show up for your team. So at any point, Vetium can turn that gas back on for the squad, and we all know he's certainly capable of it. We'll see if that's the call. Pyromancer goes down for Armada. And this Wind Demon here for Netrioid, we saw this in set 1 too. Is Wind Demon kind of back? I feel like it was Rage that was in this slot for a while.
It was for a little bit, but people realizing the movement speed pretty good, and you're going to get a lot of that movement speed with Jing Wei. I mean, it's so guaranteed that you're going to end up getting those crits, it feels like, with that explosive bolts, that getting that extra attack speed and movement speed at the same time is just a really nutty steroid to end up getting. Look at it this way. It makes your explosive bolts read increased crit chance, attack speed, and movement speed. That's a pretty good button.
That is good. Netrioid battling it out toe-to-toe with Baskin. I don't know how good that is. Gets some backup from Ronngyu, and that saves.
You know what else is nonsense about explosive bolts?
Go on about how great Jing Wei is, I guess.
They are your autos become the size of a lane.
Unmissable. That's big true. You're right.
That is absurd.
That might be the best part about it. And
Yeah,
that
you're
ability
right.
crits. I think you're not wrong.
That ability is crazy, man. You just can't. It's classic Freya gumballs.
Yep.
Is what it is. That's what it feels like. And those will be back soon enough.
That's right. Classic Freya will be making her return soon, not unlike Classic Coke. Some people out there are excited. I'd wager 13 people. And you all have some fun.
Yeah, but at least one of them is really loud.
And
it's Tom.
And from New York. Yeah, I didn't get to continue
Tom.
the bit, but yeah, it's Tom. And Tom is really excited. You know what?
I'm happy for him.
Not a lot makes Tom happy, so I'm glad for this.
Look, I wasn't playing Freya in her current iteration, right? So I don't care. You can put it back. That's fine by me.
I'll be playing against this one, though, I bet, right?
Yeah, a little bit, you know.
Some. Dash taunt from Geno. Netrioid, the target. He has now used the beads and the Aegis and barely makes it back out of there.
And now Meerkat's overextended. And I mean, he's got Flicker, but he's still in trouble here.
Yeah, Jarcorrr going to be the one that hunts him down. Panitom took to the sky as well and dunks right on him. And then another one from Sheento. Panitom finds a triple kill as suddenly Sanguine have turned out the lights on Armada.
That was insane, man. Dunk Squad coming in. Looking like Anthony Davis and LeBron James back-to-back. Tough to stop that, man. That is just crazy damage in CC.
Yeah, and like the Western Conference, Armada now starting to shrink into the corner out of fear of what's to come. Sanguine now being able to take the Tier 2 tower as well, and truly the map is theirs. Wherever they want to go, they can go.
Baskin doing what he can. Feels like Sanguine's just kind of ignoring him. You know, they're just moving on, not really worried about him. He'll do some damage, but he's not going to kill us all. I feel like Baskin's kind of been just not allowed to make an impact in this game. You know, all at once, it's felt like that Baskin has kind of been taken out of this one. And that's the best way for Sanguine to blow the game wide open, is just double dunk the entire team.
You know what? I was saying that I don't think there's a lot to gain from Sanguine, but if I had to pick a team that would be scarier to me with a bunch of prep between Armada and Hype Unit, I think it's Armada. Like, I don't know, man. I think if they could pick a team to bring, probably they'd rather it be Hype Unit and not have Armada in the pool, as Vetium is in some trouble, does have to use both relics, and that allows him to disengage. But Sanguine not too concerned with the Fury. They're happy to take the fight. I think that's Panitom took to the sky, and yep, he comes right to the back for Meerkat. No, that was Sheento. He turned into the Thor.
Now he's going to have to try and get out. Execute, not there. Now turns into the Thor, but can't get up. Mask is able to get him down.
Dude, if I'm confused about it, I got to imagine Armada are about where all these Thors are. Sanguine do get the Oni Fury. They end up losing Sheento, but they get Meerkat as well. Jarcorrr still battling it out up against 3, but he'll die here eventually. Vetium gets his second one.
Baskin is able to keep this chase going. Defender of Olympus does plenty of damage on a Panitom, and Baskin, still full HP, is brawling.
All right, this is huge now for Armada. It's been all Sanguine for this last exchange, but Armada ready to come in and find a couple kills of their own. That's 4, and they only have to give up Meerkat, and they are right back in it.
4 for 1. Now, can they get fire is the question, and it looks like a resounding yes. I mean, there is a lot of time before Sanguine is up off the mat. Who's going to tank it? I mean, Mass can't really tank this.
He's pulled it here to start with, and Ronngyu will be here to disrupt. His steal potential's low, but he's going to be looking to lock people down, find some kills, and just make this a hard push.
Vetium needs to reset this, I'm pretty sure, and he can do so with that Into Darkness once Baskin's in the pit. That's what happened.
All right, so now Fire Giant has been reset. Mass comes back in to help. Ronngyu drops the ult, but he's been controlled. And Execute Threshold, his steal potential is nothing. Armada grab the Fire Giant here at this point and get the kill.
And now we see Baskin making the impact again on that Fury. I mean, there was a big dive onto the backline, but Baskin keeps everyone on the enemy backline busy for an eternity until Geno's ultimate is up and ready to go, and they can 2v3 on the enemy side. Baskin didn't really take a lick of damage in that team fight, and I think Sanguine's going to recognize that and say, hey, okay, we got to start killing him here. And speaking of killing him here, Meerkat is getting hunted.
And as nuts as Baskin is, I think the difference maker is that Geno's on Athena, because they have 3 members down there with Jarcorrr that he keeps busy, but Geno's just able to turn around and ult right back in.
Right.
He gets the taunt that pulls one back in as well. As nuts as Baskin was, it helps a ton that they've got the Athena as well.
Vetium in trouble, no Aegis, but Panitom decides to let him off the hook a little bit, and that's good news for Armada. Losing your hunter at this point would have been pretty disastrous. There's a lot of gold left on the map.
Armada only got 1 tower
For Armada to take with this Fire Giant, but they've kind of squandered it through the early parts. I mean, it's a minute off the clock with not a whole lot to show for it so far.
And they're sieging into an even team in terms of gold of experience. Armada are definitely in the lead in terms of the fight because of the actual Fire Giant buff itself. But I don't know if Sanguine have to give up every tier 2 tower. They should be doing a rather good defense.
Yeah, I'd give up tier 1s here because
Yep.
500 gold is worthless, but I actually kind of like what Sanguine's doing. They're going to agree to just trade tier 2s if they can, though it actually looks like they're going to try and surprise Baskin with the flank.
They can threaten this mid Phoenix while the rest of Armada try and threaten the tier 2, and it looks like that's enough. This is pulling Armada back to defend the Phoenix, and I think they're right that they just can't afford to let an entire Phoenix go here for this. Netrioid has stepped too far forward. He should be able to loop back around, but look at the 2 members of Armada. They did get the tier 2 and left.
Netrioid too early on the beads. Geno has blink, so he's dead.
Yep.
It's just a matter of when. Vetium does use the ultimate, and he's got to get over here. And he will. Okay, he actually went towards Sheento in mid. And didn't end up actually using any relics. Meerkat, on the other hand, does not have a global ultimate, and as a result, will die.
Sheento transforms into the Thor to settle things. So that was Baskin, I think, that kind of disrupted that Phoenix for tier 2 trade that Sanguine were trying to make, and there's the reason Netrioid ends up isolated. But they get this kill to Meerkat. Can Sanguine kind of reset? This has started to evolve a little bit. It's hard to make these calls quickly.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Armada get Pyromancer. They'll get this tier 2 on right as well. So at the end of the day, they get 2 tier 1s, 2 tier 2s, and they lose 1 tier 2. So certainly in their favor.
Netrioid,
yeah, and the kill on Netrioid, a 1-for-1 in the kill department. But Armada get a lot of map pressure from this. They get a lot of gold. Now that, you know, instead of being down 4K, they're up 4K. That's an 8,000 gold swing, and that's a pretty big deal.
And if you consider the alternative, which is taking a relatively even fight, potentially like on a tier 2 or even on a Phoenix, I don't know if that's so bad. I mean, Sanguine effectively do a lot of similar stuff. It's just in a very different way than how we normally see it.
Sure, and they get a lot of farm in the process.
Right,
Instead of sitting there and just waiting for waves to trickle in and you're getting your 4-way splitting a 28-minute wave, at least you're a little bit more spread out on the map. You're clearing mid, sure, still as a unit, but then you spread out, get something right, get something mid, pick up a red buff. I mean, that was better, I think, from Sanguine overall.
I think so too, not bad. Sheento tries to go aggressive. He's gonna go right to the back and get a stun to Mass. Can't quite find Meerkat, who I think heard it and flickered, but Meerkat flickered into danger. Panitom gets the kill. Netrioid finds Vetium, and Mast has already used the Fear No Evil, so Sheento goes right into the Changeling ultimate. He should get a hit on where Mast is.
Yep.
Lands on it for another kill. That's 3. Sanguine might be ready to put Armada to bed.
This might be game right here,
Yeah.
Finch. I mean, only some frontline left standing, and doesn't look like Geno will be among the living for long. A 4-for-0.
Wow.
And I don't know what happened to Meerkat when he flickered in, but he did not last long. Another fight where Vetium gets insta-killed as well. I mean, both of them end up getting killed right back-to-back, and I think that is game. I think that's Armada's chances.
That's hype units somewhere thanking their lucky stars that Sheento makes a huge play. And you know what? Meerkat flickering off the sound cue there is actually pretty nuts. We don't give Meerkat quite enough credit. And somehow that ends up in his death on the back end and very much the game. It's all up to Baskin. There's no one you'd rather have to try and keep your hopes alive to defend the Titan up against 5 members, but it's too tall a task. Sanguine come in 2-0 Armada to bring a hype unit to land?
No, World Championship. Best players that you could ever have in the SMITE Championship world. No Baskin.
Yep.
No Mask. No Geno, no Vetium, no Meerkat.
That's hard to believe, isn't it? But Sanguine
Season over.
Come in and shut them down. And if you're Sanguine, there's no better way to enter into that placement week. We've been talking about how scary some of these teams are down here. A placement week is going to be nutty.
Yeah, it's going to be sick, man. I was so excited to see Sanguine play on LAN again. I mean, they were so close to making a lot of noise at Midseason Invitational. I think they've improved since then.
Yep.
I'm excited to watch them, man. I mean, huge games from Jarcorrr, Panitom, Sheento. I mean, those 3 really put on a show.
I think so too, man. That core of them is so scary, and that's who you really need to be clicking in today's meta is Panitom and Sheento and Ronngyu as well, and to get a lot of those plays from Jarcorrr. Hopefully they can get everybody here so we can see the full-strength squad, because I think they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hopefully Jarcorrr can make the trip this time. No, he had some problems last time. I hope we get to see Sanguine in full, because they're a fun team to watch, and I'm excited to see what they can do against SPL level talent.
And even without Armada, we're still going to be getting a really strong team here in Hype. I mean, Mollusk was in the SPL earlier this year, so certainly he belongs performing at this level too. I think we're going to have 4 really good representatives from the SML. But you had to just get my thoughts. The desk are standing by for their thoughts too.